My god, TGS has just been info after info on Resident Evil 7, hasn't it, guys? What is up, everyone? This is Snake, and welcome back to part 3 of the Resident Evil 7 analysis. I didn't think I was going to be making this early, but here we are. So just mere minutes after I uploaded part 2 of the analysis where we broken down the Lantern gameplay trailer, and we went into all of the TGS info that was currently shared, and then we came with our own theories, Capcom decided to upload yet another trailer and update the PSN demo. And I was super happy to see that a lot of what we saw in the trailer actually confirmed a lot of the things that we theorized in the previous analysis videos. But of course, with the addition of yet another trailer and more gameplay elements in the demo, there's a lot more to talk about now. And that's what this video is going to be about. So in this analysis, we're going to be looking first at the TGS trailer entitled Tape 2 The Bakers. We'll be going step by step, combing over everything that we see and come across in the trailer. Afterwards, we're going to be moving on to the updated beginning hour demo that's been curiously titled Twilight Demo. Again, we'll be going over all of the changes, including new items, a new room, and a new ending. After that, we'll be getting into the third section, the confirmed facts of the game. Now please bear in mind, guys, that this section is neither theory nor analysis. These are straight up confirmed facts about the game, meaning that everything that we're going to be talking about in this section we are going to experience in the game. Now, while none of them are actually anything big or major or game breaking in any way, it's important to know that some of the things we're going to be talking about have not been confirmed in either trailers or the gameplay demo. So some of these facts could very well be taken as spoilery. So if you don't want to see this section, guys, I really recommend that you just skip down into the conclusive theories section, where we're going to be taking everything that we've learned from all 3 trailers, plus the gameplay demo, and constructing some new theories while reinforcing some already established ones. So stock up on your green herbs, because it's going to get pretty violent in this one. Let's get into this.
Ethan, you were right. I did lie to you. I shouldn't have. All I can say is that if you get this, stay away.
At the beginning of the trailer with the Capcom image presented to us, we're greeted with the song that was first shown to us at the premiere trailer of E3 2016, Go Tell Aunt Rhody. Only this time it's at a much higher pitch. Now this is important, but we'll be getting into that in the conclusive theory section. We then hear the familiar voice of Mia sending a message to Ethan, confirming that they did in fact have some form of argument or bad blood prior to their parting, as she admits that she lied to him. In her panicked and defeated state, it kinda sounds like she's given up. She's been caught and this is the end. And so she sends him a final warning. Don't come here, stay away. What is interesting to note is that while Mia is sending this message, the image of a car traveling on a road can be seen, later followed by a first-person perspective walking through the woods. This person whose perspective we're seeing then comes upon a strange shrine-like structure, formed of the severed legs of cattle, and adorned with a hanging buzzsaw blade. Such grotesque creations where severed limbs are used to form structures, gateways, or shrines is very resemblant to cult-like behavior. This, coupled with the fact that when Marguerite is chasing Mia in the Lantern gameplay, and curses her for upsetting their leader, all supports the theory that this family may be a member of some crazed cult. The person who's obviously making their way to the mansion finally discovers it. And going by the unsettling bassy reveal sound, this is not a place you want to be in. We then get to see a glimpse of the interior of the mansion. We've already seen this and talked about this in part 2 of the analysis. character is then seen running through some dark, cramped hallways, and going by the strained breathing noises that the character makes with playing as a male. This is further confirmed when Jack literally smashes through the wall Mr. X style and proceeds to batter the shit out of us with a shovel. The character lets out some pain groans, again confirmed that he is a male. So this trailer has so far been the story of this male character, perhaps hearing the message of Mia, gets into his car and drives towards this mansion, the place that he knows that she was last seen. He comes to the end of the road and makes the rest of the way by foot, finding the strange shrine and eventually the manor. Going inside obviously opens the doors to his own horror. So it's very fair to say that the person that we're playing as in the main game is Keith, and we are looking for Mia. The fact that Jack can single-handedly thrust a shovel through a wall and then just walk through the rest of it implies that he is beyond superhuman when it comes to strength and resilience. This is again further backed up by the premiere trailer in E3 2016, where we get a quick glimpse of Jack carrying a woman over his shoulder while dragging another character by one hand, seemingly effortlessly. We see Keith try to escape the situation with Jack, only to be grabbed by the face and spun around to face this freak of nature. This, I feel, is going to be a very exciting gameplay mechanic for VR users, where they're literally having their face grabbed and yanked away from them. And I'm personally looking to get PlayStation VR just for this game. We then see Keith stumble upon what appears to be a crime scene in a garage, with a police officer investigating a smearing of blood on the floor. Perhaps Keith filed a missing persons report and the police are investigating. Taking too long with the investigation or feeling very personally involved, maybe Keith goes by himself to try and see what he can do. Or perhaps this is an entirely different situation altogether. We then get to see Jack's persistence and resilience as he once again attacks Keith while he gets in a car, smashing through the window and dragging him out by one hand. As Keith approaches the police officer, it is clear that the police officer is not happy with his presence, and does the typical "stay back please sir" gesture. We then see a car on fire in a garage, with Jack just stepping out like it's nothing, completely engulfed in flames. Keith takes 2 shots to his chest which seems to do nothing, before Jack lunges towards him.
Where am I? What the hell?
Rise and shine, sleepyhead. It's time for supper.
Who are all you people?
Eat it. It's good.
Dumb son bitch wasn't no good if it hit him.
Lucas!
Damn, old man, not again.
Get out the way, Marguerite. Hit boy's got to eat. He got to have his supper. Come here, boy. Let's do this. Come on.
Oh shit, he's not eating it, Jack! He's not eating it!
Shut the hell up,
I
Marguerite!
made that for him!
Get the hell out of here!
You're a son of a bitch! Oh, I can't believe it, you son of a bitch! He's not eating it! He's not eating it!
This was supposed to be a very special feast. Come on, boy. Welcome to the family, son.
We then cut to a beyond messed up scene of a family dinner. Keith wakes up to see Jack, Lucas, and Marguerite Baker at the table with him. One can only assume that after the explosion, Keith lost consciousness, and Jack, being Resident Evil 7's nemesis, and unaffected by the explosion, takes the opportunity to capture him. He's clearly restrained as he doesn't have the use of his hands. Plus, we can also see a screenshot here, further confirming that Keith isn't the most comfortable one at the table. We also quickly get to see a glimpse of what may be Jack or Marguerite's mother, a very elderly lady who seems to be more dead than alive. Out of all the members of the Baker family, Marguerite by far shows the most signs of being the most excited or crazed one, enthusiastically fingering her food and breathing quickly. Lucas seems to be holding true to his bad seed reputation by constantly barraging Keith with food, to which Jack responds in a sudden and aggressive manner, driving a knife through Lucas's arm and slicing it down to the point it should be cut off, but instead remains attached yet mangled. What's interesting here is that Lucas says, "Ah, not again, old man," meaning that this seems to be a regular punishment towards Lucas. So here we can clearly see that the family shares some form of either rapid regeneration or extreme resilience to physical trauma. Jack is clearly the leader of this family and doesn't hesitate to use violence against them to assert his authority. Jack then tries to force-feed Keith this putrid, rotting flesh, to which Keith rejects and spits out. This pushes Marguerite over the edge. She loses it and acts like the whole world is ending. Jack then explains that this was supposed to be a very special feast, before taking a knife and, I suppose, prying Keith's mouth open in order to force-feed him the food. Both Jack and Marguerite seem fixated on trying to make Keith eat this food, and showing some form of twisted acceptance or care towards him. Marguerite says she prepared the food for him, while Jack tries to help him eat, saying how it's important that he needs to eat his supper. The trailer then cuts to a black screen, but we can only assume that Jack succeeded in forcing Keith to eat the food. This is when we hear the all too familiar line, "Welcome to the family, son." That ending, coupled with the behavior of Jack and Marguerite, implies that this food can play some significant part into what's going on in this world. But we'll get into that later. We then get a close-up, heavily distorted and fast shot of a girl, and the trailer ends. So previously we theorized that the demo was not yet complete and we needed an update in order to progress the story. And it turns out we were right, and last night we received an update to the beginning hour demo, and with it came a number of changes. The first one you're going to notice is at the beginning of the demo. As the character makes his way up to his feet, and you look to the right to face the portrait, it's been replaced with yet another. In the original version, a colour photo of Jack and Marguerite was seen. They were already pretty elderly in appearance. The one that replaces it in the Twilight version is a grayscale black and white photo. This time it's of the whole family. We see Jack, Marguerite, Lucas, and another child. Again, Lucas and this kid are both children. Plus, Jack and Marguerite look much younger in this photo compared to the original, so clearly this photo was taken much further into the past. If you remember in the derelict house footage, Andre gives a brief summary of the Bakers. They were a quiet family, Jack, Marguerite, and Lucas Baker, with Lucas being a bad seed with many bad rumors about him. Not once did he mention this little girl. What's interesting to note as well is that the little girl seems to be of Asian descent, clearly different to Jack and Marguerite both being Caucasian. We'll be going more into this girl later, but for now it's just important to know of her existence. Leaving the starting living room and turning to your right, you'll instantly see the second change in the demo. The locked door with the broken knob is surrounded and covered in mold, both on the walls and the door itself. For some reason this wall is deteriorating. Perhaps the source of it is on the other side, but for now the door remains locked. The third change comes in the form of the one that was hinted to us by Capcom in the email, the hole in the wall. By getting the fuse and restoring power to the attic stairs, and while making your way to the second floor, you'll hear the sound of a wall collapsing, plus a load of wood chipping and dust falls from the ceiling above you. Heading to the room with the telephone in reveals that the wall has in fact caved in, revealing yet another room, and it turns out to be a bedroom. A few familiar mannequins return and a load of boxes litter the room. Strangely enough, there are 3 chairs, hanging on the wooden beams above you. By using the axe to smash the taped box in the left corner, you can receive some handgun ammo. You can also find some more by looking to the floor on the right of the bed. Turning to your right as you enter the room, you can see a ladder that reaches towards a window, a possible way out, but sadly it's locked with no means of opening. Near the bed on the table you can find a basement key, but again we have no means of reaching the basement right now. Just to the right of the ladder, on top of one of the TVs you can find an object made of celluloid. Upon closer inspection you'll discover that this is actually a mannequin hand. I don't need to tell you what you need to do with this. Instantly you put the finger on the hand, which creates a hand with a pointing gesture. Examining the hand says that it's a mannequin hand with a finger and also part of its thumb. I've tried pointing this at every mannequin I can see. I've tried using it with every drawer, the video player, every lock you can find. I've tried equipping it, hotkeying it to the D-pad. I've tried pointing down into the basement, but sadly I can just not find anything to do with this hand right now. A little bit further to the right of the TVs that you found the celluloid hand, you can find what looks like child's writing scribbled on a wall. Upon examining it, it reads, 5 guests murdered, but where is unknown. Nothing to point to their final gravestones. Everything about this smells like a riddle, but also potential story elements. 5 guests were murdered? but where is unknown. With nothing to mark their grave sites, I took it upon myself to find areas or objects that could resemble each of these 5 missing guests. I first thought of the wicker men hanging underneath the 2nd floor stairs. Turns out there's 7 of them though. I then thought, what about the ghost sightings in the VHS footage? But again, there's 7 of those. I then turned to the mannequins, but once again you guessed it, there are 7 of those. So as of now, this riddle remains a mystery. Now when you pick up the basement key, the phone rings again. And again, a voice that sounds very much like Ada talks to the player character.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Who's this? And what the fuck is going on?
What do you mean? Everything seems fine to me. Just remember, all doors can be opened. If they couldn't, they wouldn't be doors.
What?
But some doors must remain closed. For now.
Welcome to the family, son.
As the phone call ends, Jack instantly jumps to character. There's no freedom to try and keep your back towards a wall to prevent being caught or anything like that. He instantly grabs you. And we're greeted with yet another message. The end of the path is near. So the fact that we still can't open doors, plus the fact that the voice on the phone says that every door can be opened, otherwise it is not a door. This implies that every locked door that we've come across in the demo can in fact be opened, and may also mean the same thing for the actual main game. But then she lays on the dick killer. Some doors must remain closed for now. That, coupled with the ending message, the end of the path is near. Sadly guys, this all suggests that there is another update incoming. Now personally, while I originally thought that the idea of an update to a demo was pretty cool to keep the longevity of the demo alive, the fact that there's going to be multiple updates sounds a bit ball-achy, and I know we're close to the release date, but I was really hoping to finally get the ending of the demo today. But sadly we've got to wait longer for yet another update, which I'm pretty sure is going to be the final one. And that sadly is all the changes that we've received in the demo so far. I know a lot of you, like myself, may initially think, oh man, really? That's it? But there is something to actually be taken away from this, and again we're going to get into that with the conclusive theory section. But for now we're moving on to the confirmed facts section. So again guys, while not anything that we're going to be talking about here is game breaking or plot unraveling or anything like that, it can still technically be considered spoilery. So if you want to go in completely blind, I suggest you skip this part and go straight to the conclusive theory section. But other than that, let's get into it. So I'm sure we're all familiar with the ESRB in video games, but for those of you who aren't, they are a company that assigns age and content ratings for video games and apps, indicating the appropriate age group for the content involved. So if you've ever seen like an E for everyone, T for teen, or M for mature, that's ESRB. And it's the reason I couldn't buy Resident Evil 3 Nemesis as a kid and I had to convince my mum to get it for me. So while these ratings are stamped on the cases of games as you purchase them, they're also at the beginning of trailers, meaning that the ESRB has to be aware of all the content that will take place in a video game before they can make their own assessment and rating. Even way before release, the ESRB needs to be privy to all this information in order for them to give their rating to the very first trailer that a company releases on their video game. This practically means that the ESRB knows everything that's going to happen in a video game way before the first trailer even surfaces. And while it has been removed now due to spoiler reasons, I'm sure, the ESRB did post a rating summary on Resident Evil 7, explaining why they gave it the rating they did. The summary goes as follows. This is a survival horror game in which players assume the role of Ethan, a man searching for his wife in a derelict mansion. Now we were already able to discern that from the beginning of the Tape 2 Baker's trailer. From a first-person perspective, players explore the environment and use pistols, shotguns, flamethrowers, explosives, and chainsaws to kill mutant creatures. Now while the pistols and the shotguns are a given in a Resident Evil game, the flamethrowers were confirmed in the pre-order bonus items tweet by Capcom. However, I had no idea that we were going to be using chainsaws to kill mutant creatures. Now mutant creatures is a bit of a vague name that could practically mean anything. Hell, Jack, as he is, could very well be described as a mutant creature simply due to his inhuman strength and his resilience. But whether we're going to be facing more grotesque or more disfigured creatures, it's not a stretch of the imagination. Plus, it could very well support the idea that there are more members of this cult or family lurking around the mansion. Combat is accompanied by realistic gunfire, screams of pain and exaggerated blood splatter effects. That's how combat's supposed to be. As players progress through the story, cutscenes can depict instances of gore and intense acts of violence. Here we go. A character's arm dismembered by a chainsaw, a man's leg taken off at the knee with a shovel, a character impaled through the face with a shovel. Some areas also depict mutilated corpses with exposed organs. The words fuck and shit are heard in the dialogue. While the main character of the beginning demo does say fuck in the phone call cutscene now, and Marguerite absolutely loses her mind and starts screaming shit, 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 we've already been exposed to this. But the interesting thing here is obviously the chainsaws to kill mutant creatures, and all of the ways that people are getting messed up in cutscenes here. Now we've seen Jack in a shovel with the Tape 2 Baker's trailer, so it's definitely no stretch of the imagination to assume that the person who's taking off a man's leg at the knee and the person who's impaling someone through the face with both a shovel is Jack himself. And that once again brings us to the theories section of our video. And there's a lot to talk about, considering that the TGS trailer was composed of entirely new footage, and the fact that the demo got updated. But first of all, let's recap on what we know to be a fact based on this new information. In the previous analysis, we theorized that Jack may be the new Nemesis or Tyrant or Mr. X of Resident Evil, a seemingly impossible to kill enemy who's constantly pursuing us. And it turns out we were right. As you can see, Jack smash through walls in order to get us, throw us out of cars. He takes shots to the body while engulfed in flames, and he doesn't seem to give a shit. It is almost certain that Jack is going to be a constant threat throughout the game. Much like Nemesis, we're most likely going to have the ability to either fight or flight. If we run away, we most likely conserve ammo and avoid being hurt. However, in Resident Evil 3, if you do stand your ground and fight Nemesis, nearly every time you get rewarded with some form of item drop or a new weapon. Whether that's also going to be the case in Resident Evil 7 or we're going to get some other perk for defeating him, I'm not too sure. We also theorized that Mia and Ethan did have some bad blood and ended up splitting up before getting messed up in their own solo situations. Again, that turns out to be true in the trailer. Mia admits to lying to Ethan. What about? We're not sure. But the beginning scenario of the trailer is most likely Ethan receiving Mia's warning message and deciding to go on the road to try and find her, which will most likely be the beginning setup for the main game. It's still hard to say how Lucas is going to play a part in this. If I had to guess, I'd imagine he'd be that sick, crazed, disturbed kid who likes torturing. He too may want to hunt us down in order to perform his little games on us. What we do know is that he possesses some form of resilience power much like his father, Jack. As for Marguerite, we know through the Lantern gameplay demo that she will also be a pursuing enemy. However, whether she possesses the same abilities as Jack and Lucas, or whether she has her own set of tricks, is up for debate. We also get a glimpse of the elderly lady in the Baker dinner scene. Now, while obviously due to her age, she does strike a resemblance to the person that we see in the wheelchair at the end of the first trailer, she doesn't seem half as lively. Maybe she wakes up for short periods of time, or this is a different character entirely. So I want to talk about the dinner scene in more detail, specifically the food itself. Now, while its contents seem to be a mass of putrid rotting flesh, it's the amount of reverence that Jack and Marguerite put on the food itself that's important. When Keith refuses to eat the food, we see Marguerite completely lose her mind, as if panicked by the situation. Now, this could just be her excited mentality, and she feels offended, so she just goes on a bit of an outburst, but she seems genuinely panicked at the fact that he's not consuming the food.
Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, he's not eating it, Jack! He's not eating it!
Shut the hell up, Marguerite!
As if some unwanted outcome will result by not eating the food. After she leaves, Jack then says how this was supposed to be a special feast. Now, he could just be saying that, oh, this was supposed to be a nice moment between the family and the new family member, right? But what if it's the family's way of inducting new members into their family or their cult? What if by partaking in this plagued food, one becomes more Baker than human, and that they begin to lose their mind and gain these new powers and become one with this cult or family-like entity? Trace your mind back to Resident Evil 4. After Leon gets knocked out after trying to roundhouse the Big Cheese, he is injected with the Las Plagas. And with this, he's slowly becoming more Los Illuminados than Leon Kennedy. He's becoming more Baker than human. What if by consuming this food in Resident Evil 7, the same effect may happen to Keith, the main character? We see what is most likely Jack prying a knife into Keith's mouth, opening his jaw so that he can force feed Keith the food. It's clearly important to the family that Keith consumes this food. What other reason would there be if not just to disgust the player by eating something putrid? Plus, immediately after that scene, we hear the famous line, "Welcome to the family, son." This could be the trailer's way of telling us that Keith has now technically been accepted into the family, as it's only a matter of time before he succumbs to the effects of what he's just consumed. So again, like Resident Evil 4, the story may branch off in that Keith needs to find a way to reverse what's happened to him before it's too late. So it's a possibility that whatever is in the food is considered the new Lost Plague, as it's considered the new T-virus. Okay, now with this theory, guys, we're going to go into Crazy Town a little bit, and be warned, this is pretty creepy. I'll be throwing you some links, feel free to check them out. Be careful if you're using headphones, because some of them can blast your brains out. But what you may find might keep you up at night. So at the end of the Tape 2 Baker's trailer, straight after Jack says, "Welcome to the family, son," we get a blurry close-up of a little girl before it cuts out to black. If you remember playing the Twilight demo and looking at the portrait, you'll remember that there was a little girl sitting with Jack, Marguerite, and Lucas, who Andre failed to mention when talking about the Baker family. It's as if she was removed from the family's history. If we take a look at these extremely quick 2 stills in the Desolation trailer at E3 2016, we see a young woman's face scratched out with black pen. She looks much too young to be Marguerite. Her black hair may suggest that this was the little girl in the family portrait in the Twilight demo. The next still is again of a woman, this time clutching what may appear to be a baby, but heavy deterioration through what looks like burn marks seems to get rid of the child. Now this could be a picture of Marguerite with this very same little girl, who was erased from the family's history, and whose face was scratched out with the black pen. Shortly after in the trailer we see a close-up of a mirror, and when the lightning strikes upon it, a very fast silhouette of 2 characters can be seen. While the taller character is definitely a male, and could very well be Jack, though skinnier, the woman on the right is much smaller, and it's hard to discern her age, so this could very well be Marguerite. Or once again, it could be this mysterious female character we're talking about. Now what could drive someone to lose their mind and be extremely obsessive over children and babies? Perhaps the loss of a former child can instill this need to be more maternal towards those around her. And we already established that Marguerite seems to have this obsession with babies and children and wanting to look after them in the second analysis video. So what caused this? Now it could be her mental state, she's completely losing her mind in this crazy cult-like situation. The food that she's eating is maybe plaguing her mind. But what if she was that woman cradling the baby in that photo? She clearly loved that child. But something happened that took this child away from the family. What's interesting to note that at the E3 poster of Resident Evil 7, we can see the mansion depicted in the poster, but in the middle is this strange, mysterious little girl. Obviously, she's going to be playing a big part in the story. Now, as much as I hate to bring you guys back to this situation, let's look at the ghost sightings one more time. Now, throughout the VHS section, we know that there are ghost sightings. A young woman in a white gown can be seen appearing and quickly disappearing throughout certain areas in and outside the house. It is clear that this is not Marguerite. As for one, Marguerite is not dead. She cannot be a ghost. But secondly, the ghostly image is way too young. It is my assumption that this ghost is the little girl that was parted from her mother, Marguerite Baker. Now trace your minds back to the E3 2016 trailer. A song is playing throughout the trailer. A song called Go Tell Aunt Rhody. Now I won't play the song here due to copyright reasons, but we will talk about its lyrics. First of all, it's important to note that this song is a variation of a Western South country song, also entitled Go Tell Aunt Rhody. However, this song talks about a dead grey goose, and how all the members of the goose's family is sad because of her death. However, the lyrics in the Resident Evil 7 version are quite different. First of all, the song starts off with Go tell Aunt Rhody that everybody is dead. The song then reads as follows. I was raised in a deep dark hole, the prisoner with no parole. They locked me up and took my soul. Shame though what they made. I called him and he will come. She'll answer him like he is the one. His arms outstretched, but when she's done, he'll be torn apart. Now this version of the song is sang with a mature female voice. However, like we noticed with the TGS trailer that we just analyzed, at the beginning, a short segment of that song plays, but this time it's in a very high-pitched tone, as if sung by a little girl. Looking into the lyrics coupled with the fact that this is sung by a female, it's clear that this song's story is that of a tortured woman, and how she was raised in a deep dark place, meaning that this was her situation ever since she was a child. She was a prisoner, with no escape, no release. She was forever locked up in there, and because of it, her soul was robbed. This could also be interpreted as her losing herself or her mind. She was locked up because her captors were ashamed of what they made. She was clearly made by her parents, so it's safe to assume that Jack and Marguerite are the ones who are doing the locking up of this little girl. Why they're ashamed of her, we're not entirely sure just yet. The song then goes on to tell that when his arms are outstretched and she's done, he'll be torn apart. So with being locked up and having her soul robbed from her, she is clearly a monster of her former self. We've seen this kind of mindless aggression before by a young woman. At the very end of the demo, while Peter's cutting Clancy free, a woman scuttles behind him, quickly standing to her feet, and stabs Pete through the back, before screaming at Clancy's face, ending the footage. Her face is clearly that of a younger woman compared to Marguerite, and it could very well be that she is the little girl in the portrait, whose face was scratched out, who is the victim in this song, and who is the ghost throughout the VHS footage. Now I have to give credit where credit is due because these next two sources are not my own, but rather that of two Reddit users that go by the name Aesthetic Gamer and Kinseb. I'll put a link to both these threads in the description and you'll see them annotated on the screen now. They're both fascinating reads, backed up by images and videos. Both of them focus on audio that we can hear in the game and in the trailers. One of the Aunt Rhody song and the other of the VHS footage. Let's talk about the Aunt Rhody song for a second. The gist of the thread is that there is some sort of message masked within the Aunt Rhody song in the first trailer at E3. When the song is reversed and unfortunately played at a loud volume, you can discern some words. At 1 minute 26 of the SoundCloud recording, you can hear a woman whispering in the woods. Towards the end of the recording, straight after a very loud, shrillful noise that honestly made my heart stop, you can hear a disgruntled voice and screaming. Okay, let's talk about the VHS Derelict House audio recording. This gives me fucking shivers on my arms. I've got them now just talking about it. Unfortunately, this audio also needs to be heard with headphones on with the volume turned up. No, this is not a prank. There's a 15-minute YouTube video dedicated to this recording, where the audio is jacked up and reversed. At certain segments of the video, you can hear a woman's voice saying things. And it is crystal clear. And the voice is so clear and creepy, and it's just so creepy to think that we were subjected to that, but yet we couldn't hear it. This coupled with the fact that during the VHS section, the ghost is trying to appear in front of us many times, but can only do so briefly. It seems she's trying to communicate with us. She's trying to send a message. Whether she's hostile or not is hard to tell, considering I'm assuming that the woman who stabs Pete is that ghost, is that woman. But at the same time, we also see images of her as a little girl. And if the lyrics of the song are anything to go by, she is a monster of someone else's making. She didn't choose to be this. And so maybe we're seeing an Alma Wade kind of situation from another first-person horror game, Fear, where Alma is a ghost-like being while still having a physical presence. She becomes a monster through her father's own creation, through her father's own neglect, torture, and experimentation. We see the child side of her, which is an innocent side, and then we see the adult version of her, who is much more hostile and merciless as a result of what she's become. As you can see, going off of that, there are many striking similarities between Alma Wade and this mysterious female character. So whether she is going to be the big bad boss of this game is hard to say, but it's clear she's going to play a pivotal role in this story. And who knows, she could actually try to help us in the end. Only time will tell. Now let's go to the Twilight demo real quickly. The wall that caves in the attic reveals another room. However, this room turns out to be in fact a bedroom. as made obvious with the fact that there is a bed and a wardrobe there. The main door to the room is boarded up on both sides. Clearly whoever was going to be put here was made to stay here. The writing on the wall suggests it was made by a child, and it talks about some really dark, disturbing things. So whoever was up here was locked away. And I'm pretty sure it's no mistake that the fuse that gives power to the stairways in the attic was taken away and hidden behind a secret door. The Baker residents clearly wanted whoever was up there to stay there and to never be found or set free. Again, this all points to the little girl, doesn't it? The childlike writing, the fact that she was locked away, a prisoner with no parole. Due to the neglect and the isolation, she was robbed of her soul and became a monster, perhaps committing the 5 murders that she'd written down on the wall. All in all, this mysterious girl seems to be extremely powerful and a big threat to the Bakers, to the point they want to lock her away and try and pretend she doesn't exist. This could be either a very good thing or a very bad thing for us. And with that, guys, that brings us to the end of our 3rd analysis video. Give me some skin! Oh yes! This was a pretty creepy one, I gotta admit. I'm gonna have a hard time sleeping tonight. But I hope it didn't spook you out too bad. Or if it did, that's great, it's a horror game. But for now, guys, that is gonna be the end of our 3rd analysis video. I hope you enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on specifically the food virus kind of concept and this little girl? All of the evidence and the theory and the kind of compiling that we've brought together in this video, I think it builds a really strong case towards our identity. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and again, I hope it's revving up the hype engines for Resident Evil 7 even more. The moment I completed the Twilight demo, I was given the option to pre-order the game, and I'm happy to say that I pre-ordered the deluxe edition of Resident Evil 7. I'm hoping to get PlayStation VR as well, so I can deliver the ultimate day 1 content for you guys on this game. By pre-ordering the deluxe edition as well, we get access to immediately the hardest difficulty, which is just yes! And also 3 single-player DLCs that will be released in the future. So if you like this video, guys, please tell me your thoughts, please give it a like, and let's get some discussion going. I love hearing your theories and your own thoughts on the game. I'm constantly producing more Resident Evil content as well, so if you want to check that out, feel free to subscribe, guys. And once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you during the next demo update. Take care of yourselves, guys, and have a great rest of the day. Bye.